Hooroo and welcome to episode 1 of Facts and Fintan. The show where you get a little bit of facts, a little bit of Fintan. So for those of you familiar with my former podcast, a 5-minute podcast, yes, this is rebranding of that. I won't bore you with all the differences, but a couple key differences is that basically it's a bit more freer and a bit more engaging. So in terms of that, no time limit, so no 5 minutes, which is good because 5 minutes didn't stop my rambling, did it? No, so that's a plus. And also there's going to be a video component available on YouTube and just audio available on Anchor and Spotify with more to come. So that's pretty cool. And also from this episode onwards, I'm going to twist up the random topic part. So I'm going to make it 2 topics and then I'm going to put them on my Instagram story. So you, the listener, the fan, you get to choose what we learn about. So the power's in your hand. You know, I put it up after I release the episode. I put the 2 topics I get up onto my Instagram story. You choose the one with the most votes is the one we learn about. So win-win, I think. So anywho, enough boring around. Let's get into it. So the 2 I got today, the first episode, I got fortune tellers and hippos. And on the surface, obviously, fortune tellers was the obvious choice, but it turns out pretty boring, so let's not choose them anytime soon. And quickly, as I get used to video and audio, they might be a bit weird, but we'll get there, stick around. So the hippo, what is it? The hippopotamus, it's a large, mostly herbivorous, semi-aquatic mammal, native to Africa. And whilst we have the common hippo, that's the big one, the one we're most familiar with, there's also the pygmy hippo, which hence the word pygmy in the title. It's much smaller and it was discovered in 1849. So on average, males weigh about 1,500 kilos and females 1,300. So I believe Moto put it best when he said, "I like 'em big, I like 'em chunky." Fuck, I butchered that so bad. That wasn't even close. Yeah, I'm raw. What you see is what you get, so we're going to leave it in, but that was terrible. But yeah, they easily get around 2,000 kilos. The biggest ever, 4,500 kilos. So, fun fact, the hippo is actually the 3rd largest land mammal. Bonus points for the first 2. Tick, 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 tick. Don't worry, Factmaster's got you. And yes, that's my new name, the Factmaster. The elephant and the rhino, they take top honours. Okay, so ancient Greek for river horse. The hippo spends about 16 hours a day submerged in the water, and it only comes out at night for about 5 to 6 hours to eat. And during this time, the hippo will actually travel, the big fat lard it will actually travel up to 10 kilometres just to get food. And when it finds the food, it will consume up to, on average, 40 kilos. And that food is mostly just consisted of grass and some, fruit. That's one way to live. And here's a fun fact, and this one really tickles me. The hippo submerged in water for 16 hours a day. 16 hours underwater. Turns out can't even swim and they can't even float. So that's one way to live. And what's even better? They can only hold their breath for a max 7 minutes. So every 3 to 5 minutes they have to resurface to breathe. But what's good about that? Well, not good, but I mean the only fun fact about that one, for them anyway, is that it'll do it automatically. So even when they're sleeping, and the water's over their head, they'll just fully emerge, take a breath, come back down, all while they're asleep. So that's one way to live. So yeah, that's one way to live. But I guess another cool thing with the water thing, they can't swim or float, they can't hold their breath for very long, pretty shit for 16 hours a day underwater, but it turns out that they can close the ears and the nostrils while they're underwater, meaning that babies can actually suckle while underwater. So, I mean, fellas, we could all do a bit of that one. Yes, and here's a little twister. Contrary to popular belief, their closest relative is actually the cetaceans. Might have butchered that, but that's not what we're here for. That's not this episode. And of course, those are whales, porpoises, and dolphins. So not pigs, not horses. So pretty dumb river horse, isn't it? Fucking dumbass. But, and here's a myth, you might have heard. The myth is that they sweat blood. And it is in fact just that, a myth. So when they're out of water, they've got real sensitive skin, so they actually secrete a red oily substance which acts as a bit of a sunblock, moisturizer, and like an antiseptic almost for germs. So essentially, when they're out of water, the hippo turns into a chubby white ranger kid at the beach, you know? Ugh, lathers the stuff on. Lathers the stuff on automatically. They can't go without it. No, poor buggers. And here's another fun fact. They're that fat, they're that big, they can actually reach 30 kilometres on land. And that's cool and all, 30k. Usain Bolt's record, take it into consideration, is 44k. So they could catch you on land, low key, but they're not too big a deal on land. Because they're regarded, yes, as one of the most dangerous animals in the world, but that's only really in the water. Because they're only really territorial in the water. So when they're on land, they'll use that 30k dash to get back in the water, and then they just turn super territorial, super aggressive, highly unpredictable. But it turns out their biggest threat is actually themselves. They'll fight and kill each other quicker than anything's going to attack them, because they've got no real predators. I mean, lions and crocodiles, if they're hungry and if they're game, they can take down babies. But in a pack, adults, yeah, they don't really stand too much of a chance. And, okay, this one I didn't know. This one really actually got me. And I think it's definitely my favourite of the facts. So get this. In 1910, a bill was almost passed by US Congress. It's cracking me up. To start hippo ranching in Louisiana. Hippo ranching. So the plan was to import hippos from Africa, release them and raise them in the bayous of Louisiana to start hippo ranching. And it was to solve two problems. And the two problems were a national meat shortage. You know, these were real formative years. So there was a national meat shortage. And also, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but looking at my notes, the hyacinth. I've definitely butchered that, I know I have. But basically, it's this really invasive plant. It was just killing all the fish, blocking all the waterways. So the hippo, yeah, it was sold by the newspapers, advertised, billed as bloody lake cow bacon. Lake cow bacon. So they were going to bring the hippos in, raise them, use them for harvesting, and use them to stop this invasive plant from killing the fish and from blocking up the waterways. But they didn't do it. It was almost passed. I think, just imagine now, you turn on 7 Mate, not only do you have gator boys, but you also have hippo boys. I mean, what a world it could have been. I say we should start doing it now. And of course, the most famous case, if that one's not good enough, the most famous case is, of course, the cocaine hippos. You know, Pablo Escobar's personal zoo in Colombia, you know, had it all. But after his death in 93, rest in peace, or up for interpretation, of course, after his death, the government, it just didn't simply have the funds to maintain and run the zoo, so everything, well, as much as they could was relocated or, you know, dealt with, but one animal remained, and it was the 4 hippos he had there, alright? 3 girls, 1 boy. Fast track 25 years later, and what do we have? We've got over 40 hippos. So we've got over 40 inbred hippos living in Colombia, and the government literally has no idea what to do. They've taken over the ranch, obviously, but they've also travelled downstream the Magdalena River, which is the biggest river in Colombia. So now they're all over, and the government, they're a bit in two minds. For one, it's great tourism, because bloody nowhere else in the world has, at this point, they're almost native, you know? They've been there for that long. Hippos, nowhere else got them. But good and bad, they're displacing natives, manatees and otters, that sort of thing, that's bad. But they're also altering the wetlands, good and bad. And they're transferring nutrients from the land into the water, good and bad. It can be a bit toxic for the fish, but cleans things up and it maintains the grass and all that. Because they shit in the water, they just live in their own feces, so that's how that's transferring. So they tried removing them, relocating, and it was successful once. Cost them 15 million pesos though, so not heaps sustainable. Oops, knocked me mic. And they tried shooting one once, and that received massive backlash. So at the moment, the inbred hippos remain there, who knows for how long, because they don't know what to do. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up hippos. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, or fucking everything. I know I put a couple of facts in there. But yeah, stay tuned for next time, find out what we're learning.